Before creation of the universe, there were two forces, light and void. Tension between them led to epic battle, just like one from anime, during which huge explosion took place and created physical universe, planets and stars. Pieces of light were traveling through the newly created universe, pollinating life like bees, and the energy from the explosion created new forces. The most unstable energy condensed in one place, creating twisting nether, a dimension to which you can get by using a special portal made of 10 blocks of obsidian, iron ingot and... oh wait, it's the wrong universum. Some of the planets had a soul in their core, which grew and matured and finally transformed the entire planet into sentient being, a titan. They are a ginormous race. Their bodies are made of landscape elements like mountains and forests. The titans are closest things to gods in the Warcraft universe. First of them was Aman'Thul, who awoken other titans, and now they travel through the universe looking for new world souls and protecting worlds they have already visited. Void got jealous of new toys, and Void Lords came to the conclusion that they also want some. They didn't know which planets were right for their purpose, so they decided to send their creations in every direction in hopes of hitting suitable planet. In case the creature landed on a planet with world soul, it nested deeply and began to corrupt it and enslave local life forms. First titan who witnessed all gods himself was Sargeras, which in fear of spread of corruption decided to cut the planet in half with his giant sword. He tried to convince the rest of the Pantheon to destroy foul worlds so that they can't infect healthy and newly discovered planets, but they deemed his methods too extreme. Furious Sargeras cut off from the Titans, took control over demons, created Burning Legion, and made the Twisting Nether his home, from where he leads his crusade against all life. Well, old gods can't enslave anyone if no one is alive. It's worth mentioning demons and Burning Legion want to annihilate all life, and old gods want to enslave it. Azeroth was always a battleground for light and void forces. At the beginning, it was inhabited by 4 elemental lords, Ragnaros, Neptulion, Alakir, and Terrazan. When Pantheon encountered it for the first time, during the times of the Black Empire, it was ruled by 4 old gods, Cthulhu, Yoxeron, Y'Shaarj, and N'Zoth. Old gods are heavily inspired by work of H.P.Lovecraft, which can be seen in their name similarity, Cthulhu. They look like tentacles or slimy monsters, and in their powers, cosmic horror or causing madness among mortals. Titans tore the strongest old god, Y'Shaarj, from the ground like a pest, but his roots grew so deep in Azeroth that his removal caused a huge hole from which the blood of the planet began to spill. It created Well of Eternity, source of magic in the purest form, but heavily damaged Azeroth. In the fear of ripping whole planet apart, Titans decided to instead lock old gods in prisons deep underground. Besides, killing an old god doesn't mean his death, as his spirit can still affect reality, and objects connected to him are still very powerful and dangerous. With the passage of time, they began to make plans of their escape. Old gods corrupted nearby regions with huge amount of kinky thoughts, 5G radiation, and more steroids than in an average Russian athlete body to create their own and powerful armies. Cthulhu was locked in the south of Kalimdor, beneath Silitus. He changed local, scarab-like wildlife into powerful Kiraji army. Most of the creatures and whole setting of this region is heavily inspired by ancient Egypt culture. During the events of World of Warcraft Classic, Orc Mage Cho'Gal awoken an old god and his armies. Players opened his prison and marched inside to kill him, which is now referred as a Second War of the Shifting Sands. You can experience it yourself during the raid Temple of Ankh-Urash. Prison of Yoxeron is Ulduar, Titan research facility in the deep north on the continent of Northrend. He cast Curse of Flesh upon Titan's creations, which led to birth of humans, dwarves and gnomes, and corrupted his watchers, which helped him escape his prison. He was the last boss during Ulduar raid in the times of Wrath of the Lich King expansion. N'Zoth was imprisoned deep beneath the ocean and remained the least known Old God. He saved Queen Azshara and her highborn elves in exchange for eternal service and fit pigs, creating the race of Nagast. He also led to Nel'Tharion's madness, who later became Deathwing and brought cataclysm upon the world. N'Zoth was second antagonist, right after Sylvanas, Peach, of Battle for Azeroth expansion. By using Titan's Forge, he wanted to connect his wet dream, sleeping city of Ny'Alotha, with reality, but he was interrupted by players during the raid Ny'Alotha, the Waking City. It's worth mentioning Yoxeron here. He was killed by the Titans, but pieces of his body fell on Pandaria, and his heart was locked in Veil of Eternal Blossom. It's said that he inhaled courage and breathed fear, just like Dranga in a club. With his dying breath, he created 7 Sha, which represent negative emotions and who have been poisoning Pandaria for thousands of years. When I think about it now, few Sha might actually find their way to Summoner's Rift. During the expansion Mists of Pandaria, Garrosh Hellscream used his heart to become one of the most powerful leaders of the Horde and get rid of the lesser races. His racism didn't make him many friends, so forces of Horde and Alliance defeated him during Siege of Orgrimmar. Yoxeron is the only Old God which have been finally killed and all his corruption cleansed. In addition to 4 former rulers of Black Empire, there was one more Old God on Azeroth, G'huun. He was a creature created by Titans to help them understand Old Gods, but as usually the experiment got out of control and he had to be locked in Uldir on Zandalar. He manifested the worst traits of Old Gods. His only purpose was to spread corruption and rot, and he left making plans for nerds. His followers, Blood Trolls, are one of the most undeveloped in their race. They usually drain blood of their enemies during combat or rituals. Someone should tell them about a virus called HIV.